the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 372 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am not joined this week by my co-host, James Cush. It is James's annual August vacation week, so you are stuck with me, and only me this week, unfortunately for you. Fortunately for you, this should be a quick episode. Not expecting to go super in-depth on a lot of stuff this week. We'll save that for when James is back next week, but do want to talk about Iowa. I'm also trying to cram this into a very, very busy week personally myself. Yeah, you get what you get tonight. You get the B team, not the A team, but that's okay. That's okay. It's all good. So, yeah, Iowa Speedway this weekend, coming off the second NASCAR Cup Series appearance at Iowa, second year in a row, sold out crowd, nice crowd at Iowa this weekend. Good weather. You know, I'm watching podcasts and listening to podcasts of people complaining about the racing, and I don't know, guys. Was it a barn burner? No, but I thought the racing in Iowa was pretty decent. A lot of criticism for the difficulty to pass, especially the late run, with William Byron able to hold off Chase Briscoe and Brad Keselowski, especially Brad coming at the end. But you know, it shouldn't be easy to pass. I don't think we want it to be easy to pass. We want you to be able to get next to somebody. We want you to be able to race them, but it shouldn't be easy to pass. If it's easy to pass, it's just going to be a runaway, and the fastest car is always going to be way out ahead of everybody else. So, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. It does suck that the driver on offense is generally the leader, and the one in the clean air, and that everybody else is behind him is trying to dodge that arrow that they're creating. But I just don't know how much you're going to get rid of that no matter what you do. Even with any other car, I think, honestly, this car is really bad in dirty air when you're directly behind somebody. But if you can get offset, it seems to be better than a lot of the cars that we've had recently and in the past. So, at least this one gives you an option to duck, or stick a headlight out and get out of that wake behind the car in front of you, and build some momentum. So, I don't know. I'm not willing to completely hate on the situation. I thought Iowa was a pretty good race. I think it's proven itself to be a real good track for the Cup Series. A lot less of an issue with the new asphalt they put down in the corners. So crazy how just a year that asphalt is almost the same color as the rest of the track, how much that's weathered just in one season. Absolutely incredible. But yeah, William Byron gets himself the win this weekend, back on the top of the board. 141 laps led in this one. Definitely looks like a dominating performance. I think Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi talked about it on the teardown this week, though. I don't know that he was really the dominant driver in this race. I think we had a pretty decent mix. I certainly think that there was a point when it looked like Chase Briscoe was going to be a guy. There was a point when it looked like Brad Keselowski was going to finally get it done. But there were other guys up there too that looked really good in this race. Eric Jones, John Hunter Nemechek both ran well. Kyle Busch struggled at the beginning. He had the practice crash, and then came back, and he ran in the top 10 for a good chunk of the end of the race thanks to strategy. So, it was a mix up front, and it really did come down to strategy in the end to give William Byron the win. Happened to have enough fuel to get through the end of the race and get the victory, and enough to do a burnout and apparently drive into victory lane afterwards as well. But yeah, there were certainly opportunities for other drivers, and if the strategy would have shaken out a little bit differently, we certainly could have seen a different result here. So, while the numbers look dominating, I don't think it was that dominating of an event, for sure. So, another one worth mentioning, 20 laps led by Austin Cindric. He ended up finishing outside the top 10, but had a strong car as well. Ryan Blaney was coming at the end. I think, we talk about being hard to pass, but I think if Blaney had 5 more laps, he might have been a factor. especially if the front cars started battling or really were hitting the lap traffic heavier. He certainly could have been a factor at the end of that one. Bubba Wallace, massive recovery, sixth place finish from them. They were multiple laps down at one point with a busted toe link and able to still squeak back and get almost a top 5 finish out of the day. That was great for them. Ryan Preece had a really strong recovery as well too. They were buried back in the field for a while and ended up coming up to a top 5 fifth place finish. And obviously, I mentioned Brad Keselowski. Certainly a weekend they needed to have. I mean, obviously Brad needs a win to get into the playoffs, but they've got to be happy with where they're at right now. They're starting to show some strength and ability up there, and they may run out of time before they can get that win. But they're close. They're really, really close. So be interesting to see what happens to Brad in the remaining races here in the regular season. Carson Hocevar finishes 8th. Had some controversy again in this race. Gets into Todd Gilliland and spins Gilliland out. Gilliland's crew chief confronts Hocevar on pit road after the race. Bad move there, first of all. I don't want to sit here and defend Hocevar because obviously he's had his issues, but it just feels like every time he touches another car, everybody is jumping on him. And how many drivers got loose on the inside this weekend between the two series and caused incidents and had contact? To pin us on Hocevar as him being a uncontrolled driver is just ridiculous. It happened with many drivers in this weekend. It was tough there. Yes, he's got a reputation. Yes, he's had his run-ins, but man, I don't think you can put this one on him. I don't think you can put this one on that. I think this is it's a racing thing. Sometimes people are going to make contact in racing, especially in NASCAR racing. It's just something that happens. But for the crew chief to confront the driver on pit road, that's uncalled for. It's unnecessary. Take it up with the other crew chief. Let the drivers deal with it. Todd Gilliland's a big boy. He can go over there and talk to Hocevar if he's got an issue. It doesn't need to be handled by pit crew to driver, etc. That's just going to create more problems in the long run. But back to Hocevar, perception is sometimes rules over reality. And when you've already put yourself in those situations, you're not given the benefit of the doubt when you make a mistake and something happens that happens to everybody, on the track during a weekend. So, still got to keep it clean and do your best to stay out of harm's way, and not create more enemies. And I think Hocevar is running into the situation where even people he hasn't had contact with, their feelers are up, their attention is higher. So they're more apt to jump down his throat when something does happen. So, something he's going to have to watch going forward for the rest of the season for sure. But again, 8th place finish, strong finish to the day. Fast car, certainly outperforming equipment as he has been throughout this season. So I'm still high on Hocevar getting himself a win this year. I don't know if he's going to get it in time to do it before the playoffs, but certainly been strong all season. So good to see out of Hocevar. Another couple drivers that are worth mentioning: Austin Dillon, top 10 finish for him. Kyle Busch was fast. He was one of the fastest in the practice, and of course hit the wall with that weird looking crash, hitting the bumps down in turn 1 and turning head on into the wall, which put him behind. But again, he was able to rally in this race and perform well during the race. Finished 5th in stage 2. Did finish 20th on the day though. Didn't get the finish out of it that I think they would have liked to have. But again, Austin Dillon was strong all day, ran up front, threw out a lot of it, and gets the 10th place finish. So good for him there. Josh Berry was strong in this race as well. Finishes 13th out of the top 10, but definitely strong. Eric Jones, 16th, 8th in the second stage. Again, another race where they're up there, making themselves known, just aren't getting the finishes that they need. But still seeing that improvement continue at Legacy Motor Club. So it's only a matter of time before they start keeping that consistency and finishing out races with how they've been running. So let's see. Trying to think if there's anybody else really worth giving a lot of mention here. Denny Hamlin finishes 24th. He had his issues in this race. Denny's complaining on social media about how hard it is to pass now. All the cars are the same speed, but his driver, Bubba Wallace, passed how many cars at the end to get a 6th place finish? I mean, he was flying through the field. So Denny can say what he wants about the tires and say what he wants about the aero and how hard it is to pass, but his own driver seemed to be able to make up quite a bit of ground at the end of that race. And I mean, maybe it's just the open cars that can do that. I don't know, but Bubba's certainly proven him wrong in his little complaint there. So Shane Van Gisbergen had a tough day, a couple spins, 31st place finish for him. He'll be happy to be going back to Watkins Glen this weekend in the road course and looking for redemption from his loss last season at the Glen. So he'll be fun to watch this weekend for sure. I don't know that I've really got a whole lot else for this race. Pretty general race. We had, it was a pretty calm race through the first 2 stages, and we had another instance where we had a rash of cautions in the 3rd stage. There was a lot of dive bombing on the low line. The way the progressive making is and the way the groove is at Iowa, the preferred line is up a couple lanes off the inside. And so you have that Loudon effect where there's room to dive in underneath somebody, but you can't always hold the car down there. And when it gets to crunch time and it's time to be aggressive and no longer give, or it's all take and no give, you're going to see people make contact like that and get a little too aggressive and cause incidents. And we saw a lot of that in that last stage with multiple cautions. And really, for a race that was really flying along, it started to look like it was never going to end at the end until they were finally able to keep things rolling and get the finish taken care of there. But again, I think Iowa's a great track. I think they've done a nice job of fitting that track in on the schedule. I hope it continues on the Cup Series schedule. They fill the stands. I know there's not as many seats there as a lot of tracks, but the optics are good. The racing is good. It seems like a really nice facility and deserves a spot. And it's nice to see a Midwestern or another race in this area. I know there's a lot of rumors that Chicagoland's coming back next year. So that'll add another 1.5 miles into the mix in our Midwestern states, which will be nice as well. But yeah, it's Iowa's a good track. It's a short track, but it's 7/8 of a mile. It doesn't race like a short track. To me, Iowa's kind of like if Michigan and Richmond had a baby. It's like right between those two. It's not the short track that Richmond is, but it's not the 2 mile, super speedway-esque race that Michigan is. It's right somewhere in the middle, but I think it races more like an intermediate than it does a short track, certainly. Just things are tighter and quicker as they are on a shorter track. So overall, like I said, very excited that the Cup Series is there. Hope we continue to go there for the next several seasons. Although it's cool to see NASCAR doing some rotations and changing things up with the schedule, I think Iowa's earned itself a spot, hopefully for the long term. William Byron, his win in the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol is his 15th victory in 275 NASCAR Cup Series races. Second victory and 12th top 10 finish in 2025. His first victory and second top 10 finish in 2 races at Iowa. So both times he's raced at Iowa, he's finished in the top 10. Let's see. Riley Herbst was your highest finishing rookie in 30th in this one, and William Byron is your points leader. Extends it a little bit, 18 points now over Chase Elliott in the NASCAR Cup Series points championship. Moving on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, also at Iowa, the Hy-Vee Perks 250. Sam Mayer gets the win. First win for Haas factory team in any of the national series. So cool to see them get that win. Sam Mayer, strong car all day. It was interesting because he only led 28 laps. He finished 4th both stages, but he was right there. And I was picking him early because everybody was trying the outside. Everybody was starting from the outside. And Sam was able to make these moves down on the inside where he would get himself a row or two every restart. And it just looked like he had that something that others didn't have, and that if things worked the right way for him, that he would be able to get a win. And he was able to do that. He's able to capitalize on that and take the checkered flag. Certainly not without a little bit of controversy, though, and that's not to say it was anything to do with Sam Mayer, but we did have the caution on the track, the lack of caution. We had a car hit the wall or run into the back of another car, just beat the front end in, smoke pouring off of it. I think just about everybody was saying there's probably fluid on the track, and for some reason, NASCAR did not throw a caution, and the leaders went through that turn, and a bunch of people struggled. Jesse Love lost the lead in that. Brandon Jones ended up spinning in that. Definitely cost Brandon Jones the day. May have cost Jesse Love the win. Just another one of those instances. Like, I get that NASCAR gets criticized for throwing the caution too early, and they get criticized for not throwing the caution early enough. But I mean, this was an instance where there's contact on the track. There's smoke billowing off of a car. Like, throw the freaking caution. Let's be safe and just assume that the car's dropping fluid. If it's not, then okay, big deal. There was an accident still. It's worth a caution. I just don't understand why we have this constant back and forth over, do we hold the caution? Do we throw it right away? If there's contact, if there's an incident, just throw the damn caution. I don't think people are so upset over. I don't think they're so upset over when the caution is thrown, is they are just how inconsistent it is as to when the caution comes out and what causes a caution. So I don't know. I don't. Obviously, I'm not in the tower. You know, I've done the tower thing for a dirt track on a much smaller scale. It's not easy. I get it. You know, and there's tons of us watching and criticizing their every move and everything they do. Everything they make a mistake with, we notice and we complain about it for a week on end or longer. But just, I don't know. It just, there's all these little things that keep happening. And I really wish we could, I don't know if we need more people. I don't know if we need more spotters. I don't know. It just feels like maybe more than one person needs to be able to throw a caution, but it just seems to happen consistently. And it always sucks when it costs somebody a chance at a win, when an officiating error causes a chance at a win. So that was a bummer, but anyway, otherwise, Connor Zilisch really strong in this race, led 62 laps, has an issue, running a little too hard, probably with the car that didn't need to run that hard, was probably going to get toward the front anyway. Ends up affecting, Ross Chastain and Justin Allgaier goes around as a result too. But again, that's just one of those things that you're going to learn if you're a young driver, making your way, especially somebody as young and inexperienced as Connor Zilisch is. You know, we talk about his maturity and his ability, but he's still a young kid and he's still learning a lot. And he's not going to be perfect. And guess what? You know, there's likely going to be an announcement this week that he's going to be racing for Trackhouse in the Cup Series next year. If it hasn't been made as I'm recording this podcast. So he's going to make mistakes there too, guys. He's not going to be perfect, and it's going to be a much tougher hill to climb in the Cup Series than it is in the Xfinity Series. So it happens. It's going to happen. It is what it is. Definitely cost himself a day, cost his teammate a chance at a win. Maybe cost Ross Chastain as well. Ross Chastain leads 120 laps in this race to finish third. Jesse Love, 31 laps led. Connor Zilisch, I mentioned, 62 laps led. Both Connor and Ross Chastain traded the stage wins throughout the race before Sam Mayer was able to get the lead at the end and get the win. I did want to shout out Carson Hocevar here. We had news this week that Josh Williams was released from the 11 car for Kaulig Motorsports, and Carson Hocevar was brought up to run that car at Iowa. They said they'll be rotating Cup drivers through that program to evaluate it and give them some feedback to improving their program. I would say that Carson Hocevar showed that The car may not be the issue so much in that instance with the 11 car. Certainly had a strong run all day. Performed well, finished 7th in the first stage, finishes 6th just outside the top 5 here in the Xfinity race. So Carson Hocevar maybe outperforming equipment once again. Somebody not super experienced in the Xfinity series, but yeah, was able to start 3rd, finish 6th, and give a strong run to the 11 car, maybe showing that Kaulig made the right decision with severing the relationship with Josh Williams. As unfortunate it is for Josh Williams, always sucks to see a driver lose his ride, but that certainly was a relationship that did not seem to be working out. Josh just was not able to live up to expectations with a team that was, it was performing pretty strong when he was brought into that car. And it just didn't work out. Sometimes that happens. So, good on Carson Hocevar to get a strong run, and good to see Kaulig, with a strong performance here in the Xfinity series. I don't really have a whole lot else. Harrison Burton with a top 5 finish. Nice run for him. Looked like he could be a contender in this one. 9th and 8th in the stages, so top 10 all day long. Top 5 finish for Harrison Burton. Good to see for him. Austin Dillon ran this race, replacing the suspended Austin Hill, and got turned on the very first lap with Ryan Sieg, and was able to rally for a 14th place finish in the 21 car. Strong day for Austin, despite starting from behind and certainly having some damage that affected him early in the race as well. So there you go. Interesting race. I mentioned Justin Allgaier finishes back in 16th after the spin to complete the day. Brandon Jones also with his spin ends up 23rd. Corey Day ran in this race. He had some issues, a couple of run-ins, finishes 24th in this one. I don't really see anything else worth really getting into heavy on this one. Sam Mayer gets his 8th career win and his 139th start in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Again, first win for the Haas factory team in any of the NASCAR Top Series. So that's cool to see. First victory and 13th top 10 finish in 2025 for Sam Mayer. Second victory and second top 10 finish in 2 races at Iowa Speedway. Of course, he won last year with the Junior Motorsports car. So strong track for Sam Mayer here. Connor Zilisch, highest finishing rookie in 4th. He leads the point standings 0 points over Justin Allgaier. 2 are tied in the points battle right now in the NASCAR Xfinity Series as we head toward the playoffs. There you go. There's Iowa Speedway in the rear view mirror. On to Watkins Glen this weekend. We'll preview that here in just a minute, but a couple news items to go over. After we recorded last week, we recorded Monday that evening. We saw the huge, just massive modified wreck that Stewart Friesen was involved in. Terrible wreck. He was injured, suffered serious injuries, broken pelvis, among others. He will be out the rest of the season now, which is a bummer for Stewart. Was able to win himself into the playoffs. Now no longer able to compete in the Truck Series this season. However, silver lining, working out with Kaden Honeycutt, who was released from Nice Motorsports this week. Nice says that he will be working with another team and manufacturer next season, and so they've released him, which was interesting because Kaden Honeycutt was in the running he's in right now in the playoffs if things were to end today. So loses his ride and a chance to playoffs in theory. He will run the 0-2 for Young Motorsports this weekend at Watkins Glen, and then we'll move over to Stewart Friesen's truck for the rest of the season where he'll finish. That'll work out well for the Friesen team with the way the breakdown works for payout and everything with the Truck Series. It's split based on driver and owner's points. So they'll have a driver and owner competing for the championship in that ride. Christopher Bell will pilot the Stewart Friesen truck this weekend at Watkins Glen. So we mentioned Josh Williams out at Kaulig. Again, silly season stuff underway. especially in the lower series. That's pretty much it at this moment. Again, I mentioned earlier that there's talk, at least there was mention on DBC this week, that we may be seeing a Connor Zilisch announcement to the Cup Series, which, again, one of the worst kept secrets in the sport. I think the writing's on the wall there. It's pretty obvious. Daniel Suarez gets the boot. That seat's open. Trackhouse doesn't really have anybody else to put in there. It's a pretty easy guess to say that Connor Zilisch is going that ride. I hope it's the right decision. I don't know what that kid has to prove in any other series. I think running him in the Xfinity series another year just doesn't make any sense. But man, the Cup Series is hard. It's not going to be easy. Hopefully he can move up there and succeed. It'll be fun to watch him in the Cup Series next season. Only other thing I wanted to talk about, the Speedway Classic MLB game was held at Bristol Motor Speedway this week. Kind of a bust. MLB learns that the best way to, or that if you're going to have a game at a NASCAR track, you're going to have to deal with NASCAR's nemesis, and that is Mother Nature. We had massive rain delay Saturday night, the night of the event. They only made it about an inning and a half before they had to call the game and postpone it till the following day. It was finished up on Sunday. Overall, seemed to be. I tuned in a little bit. I watched an inning or half an inning, and watched the highlights. And looks like it was a good game once they finally got to play it. A lot of ire on social media over the handling of Saturday night. Food being run out of, difficult to get in, lots of traffic, all kinds of stuff. You know, a couple things to say here. First of all, the amount of time and money and effort put into this one event for one game at this racetrack is just insane. Like, I saw something somewhere, somebody said that the MLB has two teams playing out of spring training stadiums this year, but we built a stadium for one game, which is just crazy to think of. But, you know, you do that, you put that kind of effort in and they have rain ruin it. I mean, shoot, we know in NASCAR we had almost had rain ruin our first weekend on the Chicago street course, our first ever street course in, decades. And we were able to get through it and have a good event. But I mean, that killed that event. It ruined, canceled concerts and created all kinds of issues, both in the Xfinity series and the Cup series that first season. And of course we had rain affect it the second year as well. So we see how it works. We understand how this works. Bristol's getting a lot of criticism. First thing, I've never been to Bristol Motor Speedway, but my understanding is there's not a lot of hotels close by. People go to NASCAR races and they camp. So yes, you can fit 150,000 people in there for a NASCAR race, and we've done it in the past, and they haven't struggled with the crowds and the traffic and all that stuff like they did this weekend. But that's because of those 150,000, what percentage, 70%, 75% are camping somewhere near the track. They're walking to the track. They're not driving there. They're not creating traffic. I would assume that with the MLB, especially a one-day event, that most people weren't camping out there. They were driving in the day of the event, which is definitely, it's going to tax the hotels that are nearby, and it's going to tax the road system and the traffic going into the event. So there's that. And then the concession stuff, I mean, I get it, but, how many hours was the rain delay before the first pitch? Like, people are sitting there under the bleachers eating because that's the only thing there is to do. So obviously they weren't planning for that. It's not like there's another baseball game tomorrow that they can use the food at. Like, they bought food, stocked the food specifically for this event. It's not going to last to the next NASCAR race. So you don't want to over purchase. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things. I saw somebody say it was like MLB's Fire Festival. I mean, come on, guys. The game was played. There were plenty of people there on Sunday. Stuff happens. You can't control Mother Nature, and that was the gist of it. I thought the optics of the event were really cool. It seemed pretty neat. The fans seemed to be really into it. The Sunday fans seemed to really enjoy the game. Unfortunately, a lot of people weren't able to stay or come back the next day. That's a bummer, but again, we deal with that with NASCAR all the time. The MLB deals with it. It's just they have another game the next day, and then they do a doubleheader or whatever, and they didn't have that option for this. But unless you put a roof over the place, which, they want to do, you're just not going to prevent stuff like this from happening if Mother Nature says, nah, sorry, we're raining. So I don't know. Overall, I think it was cool to see them do it. Not a big MLB guy, so if they do it again, I don't really care. But anyway, hopefully people that were able to attend did enjoy it, and hopefully the negative energy on social media, which is freaking everywhere, doesn't just completely ruin this event or a possibility of a similar event down the road. But anyway, props to SMI, props to all those folks, props to the MLB for putting that event together and putting it on. Very cool to see. Like I said, the optics were awesome. Player intros were really cool. The flyover was neat. All that stuff. The photos from Saturday night looked really, really cool. It's too bad the game couldn't have been played when it was scheduled, but overall, I don't know. I don't know if it was a success, but definitely broke the attendance record and created some buzz for the MLB. So, and gave something for the Bristol folks to do an extra weekend this year. So, good for them for trying it out. I'm not going to get into checkered flags and black flags this week. I kind of shared my opinion through the whole thing. You guys have heard enough of me on any of that stuff. So we'll skip over that this week. Heading into Watkins Glen this weekend for the NASCAR. Actually, all three series in action this weekend. NASCAR Cup Series has the Go Bowling at the Glen on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern on USA. The NASCAR Xfinity Series is in action the day before the Mission 200 at the Glen. Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern on CW, and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series returns to action. It's the Mission 176 at the Glen. Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. James is not here this week, but it is his week to pick first. And I sent him a message. I was nice. I sent him a message before the podcast, before I started recording. I am recording earlier than normal because he's not here and I don't have to work around his princess schedule. So I sent him a message and I told him if he had a half hour to get me his pick, and if he didn't get it to me in a half hour, I was going to pick Catherine Legg for him. So fortunately for James, Catherine Legg's not bad. It's not a bad pick. She did well last race. Anyway, he did make his pick before we got to this point, so he's not taking Catherine Legg this week. Surprisingly, he's going to leave SVG on the table for me, and he's going to go with AJ Allmendinger, which interesting choice to me because I don't know, man. AJ just is not. He's not shown me much on road courses. I think James might be going on a little bit of a limb here, unless he saw something that I've missed. But I'm not. I don't know if I'm going to put AJ in my fantasy lineup this weekend. He just hasn't shown me enough. I think there's lots of other options out there that I'd pick over AJ. I mean, Ty Gibbs is a great pick. Still on a road course, especially. Obviously, Chris Buescher won this race last year. He's going to be a threat. I don't know, William Byron got a win this weekend. We could see William Byron up there. Kyle Larson eventually is going to get back to winning at road courses, you would imagine. So I don't know. There's a lot of options, but there's no better option than Shane Van Gisbergen. I'm going to go with Shane with the redemption story this weekend. He's going to get the win he didn't get last year and really shut up everybody who's whining about him qualifying for the playoffs by winning at Watkins Glen and solidifying himself as, if he hasn't already, as the greatest road course racer in NASCAR Cup Series history. So give me Shane Van Gisbergen as my pick for the Go Bowling at the Glen this weekend at Watkins Glen. Back to speaking of fantasy, I have to give old Kutch credit this week. He was able to knock me off of my pedestal. My winning streak is over. James gets the win, 247 points this weekend. Shut Up Rogers second, 236. Smoking Grill Racing third with 210 points. I am back where I rightfully belong. Seventh place, 201 points for the old KB show. Not a great weekend at Iowa. I will say that I did not have a chance to play my bench. I don't remember who I had on my bench, to be quite honest. I don't know if it would have made a difference. But I was gone all day. So I had to pick in advance. I didn't watch the race until late. So I'll use that as my excuse. That's why I didn't win. But we're going back to a road course this weekend, and I've been cleaning up on the road courses. So I'm just like SVG, happy to be back to a road course. Hopefully I can get myself another fantasy win this weekend at Watkins Glen. Looking at the overall points, James is able to, man, James is close. 3 points behind. Smoke and Grill Racing, 4,404 points. James is 4,401. Smoke and Grill, man, come on. We do not want James getting another win in the fantasy. Somebody's got to clean him out. I don't know. Maybe we can mess. I mean, James is on vacation this week. Maybe he'll forget to make his picks before the race this weekend, and that'll get Smoke and Grill back out with a little bit more of an advantage. I don't know. We don't want James winning. Come on, guys. Get some work in. Green Eggs and Hamlin, you're right behind him. 4,317. You get working on it. Catch him. You're not that far behind. Byron Speedway fourth, 4,217. Three-time champ is fifth, 4,173. I am, again, back where I rightfully belong, eighth place overall in our league standings. Byron Speedway, shout out to him. I'll shout him out every week if I have to. His racetrack, his 164 scale track that he does. Again, if you haven't followed him, Instagram's best place. Byron Speedway on Instagram. Just freaking awesome. Him and his son put hillside and landscaping in next to the grandstands on his front stretch. I mean, I'll tell you, when we first discovered Byron Speedway, if I remember correctly, James is the one who discovered it and showed it to me. When we discovered him, it was amazing. I mean, the facility that he had built there was so cool, and he took it down this year and spruced it up, and he's rebuilt it and added some really neat things, and it looks so good. Like his photos. First of all, he's using, I'm assuming, some sort of DSLR or something, but he's taking photos with bokeh in them. So, I mean, when I flip through my Instagram, I'll see pictures from there, and I have to do a double take because I swear it's a real racetrack. Just so cool what he's doing. So Byron Speedway on Instagram. Again, real good friend of the show. We'll shout him out every week. Doing some great things over there. One of these days, Steve, I'm going to get out there and see that track. Hopefully it's got to happen. But yeah, very, very cool. So check that out. With that, I think that's it. Let me hit the old X real quick one more time. Make sure we haven't gotten a driver announcement yet. I'm assuming that we'll see it tomorrow or Thursday anyway. Yeah, no, nothing. Just, I do see more Denny Hamlin whining. Oh no, that's just somebody retweeting Denny Hamlin. But, yeah, otherwise, yeah, there you go. Very cool. Very cool. Good weekend of racing at Iowa Speedway. Excited about Watkins Glen. Looking forward to hopefully some good racing. Man, last year's finish was great. So hopefully we can see more of that. Obviously not in the playoffs this year. But I don't know, something about Watkins Glen. I've never been out there. I've never been to a Cup Series road course race, period. But I hear great things. People, I used to know people that would go out there every year, and they absolutely loved camping out there at the track. One of these days, hopefully I'll get out to Watkins Glen and get a chance to enjoy it. But certainly one of the classic road courses on our schedule. Historic road course. Should be a fun weekend this weekend. Hopefully some good racing. Hopefully Shane will at least, maybe he'll have some trouble in qualifying or something and start toward the back and give us something to watch at least, and not just get the pole and run away with it. So we shall see. Watkins Glen this weekend. With that, if you want to hit me up on social media this week, you can hit me up at TSuperspeedway on X. James, he's on vacation, but I know him, and he's probably checking Instagram and X this week as well. So hit him up at James Cush. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, links to new episodes, show notes, all that stuff on there as well. The podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Wherever you heard us today, please subscribe for new episodes each and every week. And I promise, the episodes are much less lame when there's two of us. But my schedule this week was tough. I was going to try and find somebody to sub in for James, but just too much uncertainty for my schedule. And so, like I said, you got the B team this week. James will be back next week. We'll return things a little bit back to normal. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm the C team and James and I are the B team and there is no A team. I don't know. It is what it is, but we appreciate you guys listening each and every week. Back to normal next week after Watkins Glen. Go bowling at the Glen Sunday for the NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and Craftsman Truck Series, also in action this weekend at Watkins Glen. James and I will be back next week to break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.